All right, guys, welcome to the Broadcast Podcast. My name is Nazar and you are listening to the Broadcast Podcast with my brother here today, Ahmed Bashar Sayed. Bashar, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really great. And I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad to be recording an episode just with you. I think this is our first episode together after Tenet.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. So I'm looking forward to what we have in store, what we're going to talk about.
I mean, I'm this is one of those things which I'm really excited that we have a platform where we can talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Being brothers, being together since the age of my age of a year and a half. You've seen me in your entire life. Um, this topic that we have today to talk about, it's just perfect because
Show the viewers your.
I mean, people who listen to us on Spotify, I am wearing an Oasis t-shirt and I have with me a vinyl copy of What's the Story Morning Glory by Oasis.
So I guess this episode is to celebrate 25 years that have just passed of one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yes, and I'm so glad that this album was being made by two brothers and some friends, and we get to sit here together and talk about this album. You've seen Supersonic, you've seen the Rockfield Studios, what's it called? Documentary that just came
Yeah.
out on the Oasis
Yeah.
YouTube page. You have thoughts, I have thoughts. Let's jump into it.
Yeah.
I think before we should start, I think we should give a brief synopsis of what the album is, when it came out, and all that stuff. A quick little Wikipedia search. I just pulled up Wikipedia, and basically, this album came out on 2nd October 95, which is, a few days before we're recording this, but makes sense. Sold record-breaking 345,000 in the first week in Britain. Hit number 1 on the UK chart. Stayed there for I don't know. It says 10 weeks at number 1. 4 top 5 singles in the UK, including Don't Look Back in Anger, Wonderwall, which did not peak at number 1, by the way. That's funny to me. Sold 22 million albums to date, marking it their best commercial success of all time.
It's weird that you've mentioned all of these stats and these numbers because what's crazy to me is that not only is this just their second album,
Yeah.
but these guys started off as an indie band.
Yes.
And if you look back now, Oasis, I always keep saying the Oasis.
Yes, we'll get into this, but when we had Matt Whitecross on the show, you called Oasis the Oasis.
Yeah.
That happened.
And Matt, he directed Supersonic,
Yeah,
the
he directed
documentary on
Supersonic.
them. But anyways, what I was trying to say was that if you look back in the 90s, a musical history and then of what Britain's music is in the UK, Oasis is the defining band.
Yes, of modern.
What makes the 90s. And this album is not only one of the greatest 90s albums, it's one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yes,
Top
and
5 for sure.
100%. And you can just see the influence of that band, of this album, on so many subsequent bands. Coldplay, Snow Patrol, Keane, Codaline. All of these guys are, even James Bay just did a cover of Don't Look Back in Anger just now. These people are defined, artists in the UK are defined by this album, just like how Oasis was defined by the Beatles, by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. They have become that symbol in, UK music history.
Yeah. And the time that they reigned over everything, it's become an era of Oasis. Yeah.
Totally. Britpop was started by them and it was ended by them as well.
Yeah.
They continued their reign. They still made amazing music, but that height, that pinnacle, that apex of Britpop, Oasis were untouchable. And it even bled through into the United States and Canada. Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger topped the Hot 100 here in Canada and the US. That's just how the power of those ballads were. They were just he says in the documentary, Noel Gallagher says that it was never been done and it'll never be done again.
Yeah. I mean, the more that I was reading into it and doing my research for this podcast, the more I just kept baffling me that these guys recorded this whole album in 2 weeks.
12 days. This whole album has 11 tracks. 12 days it took to record this album.
And I think half the songs weren't even written as they were going in.
No, that's why, it makes so much sense when you go listen. We'll do a track by track.
Yeah.
We'll go down the track list.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderwall has one verse.
Yeah.
Champagne Supernova has one verse. Cast No Shadow has one verse.
These are great songs.
These songs would make careers of bands and artists today.
Yeah.
Has one verse. Just repeats over. Acquiesce, one verse.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how, like Noel says so many times in his documentaries and his interviews, he was in a zone that's been unparalleled. He's never been able to achieve that thought process ever again. But when he was in it, he wasn't writing a bad song ever.
Yeah.
That whole span from like 1992-3 to 1995-6, untouchable. Every song was a hit, and you can see that.
Yeah. And I think Noel was saying this as well. Like he had no idea the magnitude of how hit Oasis is gonna be.
Yeah.
He's like, if I knew that Wonderwall or Don't Look Back in Anger would become such massive hits, he would be rethinking how he would write the song.
Yeah, he would never have written them.
His hands would be trembling.
Yeah. Because imagine that. Wonderwall is people's first song they ever learn on the guitar.
Yeah.
Wonderwall is known by all genre. Like, if you don't listen to music, you know Wonderwall. I'm pretty sure my parents know Wonderwall, and they don't listen to like white music at all, like, or English music, I should say. That's just, it's transcended. Wonderwall was released when you and I weren't even born, man.
Yeah.
Take that in. This album came out when we weren't even born.
Yeah. And I think if there's any song that I ever heard of him, the first one was Wonderwall. And I didn't even
Oasis?
Oasis. I didn't even know what the band was like back in Pakistan or whatnot, right? But
same, like, we're from Pakistan, right? And in Karachi, everybody, you started playing Wonderwall on the guitar, and everybody knew what that song was. It was that binding, and that just, I can go on and on about this, but before we dive deeper into the album, you have met Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty criminal if we talked about Oasis and Noel Gallagher and one of the
I brought this up upon myself. I know this, but this is one of those stories that maybe was the reason I ever started this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we should tell it.
Yeah, so
because it's linked to Noel, it's linked to Oasis. We talked about this when we did the Matt Whitecross episode. I told Matt my miseries.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what to say to you, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you start off with it? Because, well, to begin with, my brother is definitely a more hardcore fan of Oasis and the Gallagher brothers.
Yeah, I think Noel Gallagher is my top 3 best songwriters of all time. Maybe even number 1 sometimes. It shifts, but top 3 of all time. And this was 2018, right?
2018, yeah.
All of 2017, I had started getting into Oasis, watched Supersonic, made you watch Supersonic, watched all his documentaries, his live performances, his acoustic performances, everything. I was just like neck deep in Oasis music and Oasis lore. And he released a new album, Who Built the Moon, and he was touring it. And on Reddit, I saw that Noel Gallagher does CD signing. Like, he does signings and he meets fans before the show, after sound check.
Yeah.
So I knew when that was happening, I was like, yo, we gotta get tickets. We gotta go see Noel. Long story short, I got scammed on tickets. I didn't get tickets. I was $200 short. We took the car to Toronto, parked it, $15 a day.
Yeah.
Stood in the blistering cold. I feel like Stan now. Like, I feel like I'm talking about Stan. But we stood in the blistering cold for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Noel was a no-show for a long time. And then he shows up. Kendrick Jude Valley Ambrose, our friend, shows up as well at the same time. There's a lineup. I'm losing my shit. I have Who Built the Moon and What's the Story, Morning Glory in my hands.
Yeah. And there's a lineup of a lot of people.
Yeah, there was at least 100 people there.
They're like hardcore fans with guitars and records.
Remember that fake Liam Gallagher fan?
Yeah. yeah. I remember that one, yeah. And I wasn't even trying to go. You pushed me to go.
Yeah. You weren't even a fan, that big of a fan at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't understand what everything meant back then, but
but you were there.
I was there.
And so Noel comes up, he starts signing stuff, and we're in the middle of the line. And when I met the Google Dolls, I did this thing where I switched lines. So I went back into the line, and that way you have like an extra minute or two, talk to the artists, let them know, whatever. I had a poetry book in my bag, so I was like, I still have a signed Noel Gallagher poetry book in my shelf. I was gonna give that to Noel. Okay. Our turn comes up. I'm like, yo, you go, right? You talk to Noel.
Yeah.
I'll take your picture, and then you said you'll give me both the vinyls, and he'll sign both of mine. I'll have more time to talk to him.
Actually, I think you were giving it to me initially. You were
Yeah,
like, you know
I
what,
was
get
just
it
losing my
signed.
shit at the time because I was like,
Yeah.
Noel Gallagher, 22 million albums. What's the story? Morning Glory in front of me, as close as you and I are right now.
And you know what? In my head, I was like, I think you should get it signed because you bought these records, and
Yeah.
I think it would mean a lot more to you if he signed it like for you.
Yeah, like
specifically.
100%. I was totally in for that, but my brain wasn't working. I think I stepped outside the line for a couple of seconds. You went.
I shook his hand. I got my picture. You took the picture, and as you were going back into the line, the security guard was like, "Lines up. You know, he's gotta go. Nobody jump in line anymore."
The security guard said, "Get out of the line, or I'm sending Noel back inside."
Yeah,
And there was at least 20, 30 more people left in the line.
yeah,
So the mob started pushing me out. I'm waving at Noel like, Noel, recognize me, get me in, sign my record, please.
yeah.
I'm waving at Noel. I'm shaking. I have both the records in my hand. This man, through his tinted lenses, did not see me at all.
Yeah.
The guard is pushing and shoving me at this point. And the last 10 people in the line didn't get their stuff signed because of me. I truly apologize, but I'm in a moment here. I'm emotional. Noel Gallagher goes back inside the building. Don't see him.
And that's it. Yeah, I think that's. I remember you telling me that you felt like throwing up. You're like, you just felt sick.
I felt sick. I
You
felt
yeah,
top 5 worst days of my life. Have
Definitely,
to be.
yeah.
It was so cold that day. Remember, it was like negative
Yeah.
5.
it was very cold.
February. And I just
Yeah,
still pains me.
and our parents weren't even
could have
here.
that could have been a signed
Yeah,
Oasis record.
could have been, could have, would have, should have, but didn't.
That summer, Liam also came, and his show got canceled in Toronto. He came with Richard Ashcroft.
Yeah. Imagine if you actually we had tickets to the concert. Like, would you want to watch him after what happened?
I think I'd be too upset to watch, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. I'd be too upset to watch. Yeah. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. And I think one of the reasons I started this podcast was to talk about this, get this out. I talked about it with
Vent.
White Cross. He was just upset with me. Thank you, Matt, if you're listening. And yeah, that's our encounter. I'm gonna put up the your picture with
My
Noel
picture with
Gallagher
him,
on the
yeah.
video. If you guys listen to us on Spotify, check us out on YouTube as well. I'll have the picture up. It's the bane of my existence.
I think we should get back to the album.
Yeah, I think we should too.
I actually like the whole album is great. But I have a personal number of like favorites that I have.
Yeah, sure.
that
Let's
are
talk about your favorites first.
mine.
Because I love the entire album. I think the only song that's probably not as good is probably "Hello," this title track.
Yeah.
It's lukewarm. Everything else 2 to 12, dig it.
Well, considering that they had like 4 to 5 singles, that just shows like
They had 6 singles in Britain.
that's crazy. That's nuts.
That's insane.
But if you're talking about like my personal favorites,
Yeah, let's go.
definitely Wonderwall. There's
Oh, yeah.
no way you cannot pick that song, right? It's like it's crazy. And then Don't Look Back in Anger.
Oh,
I-
yeah.
I love these songs.
Definitely. The Coldplay version of "Don't Look Back."
I was
in
just gonna
Anger.
say when Coldplay performed it in Manchester.
Yeah, for the Manchester bombings, and then they were doing a relief
Yeah.
concert.
And then a song that I don't know if anybody would expect or not, but Talk Tonight.
Talk Night, the B-side.
Yeah,
It's a B-side to Wonderwall.
So the reason why I like that song is because it has a story behind it, and I was just following up on that story just yesterday.
Yeah.
And what happened was that all great British bands, they want to break into the North America and
Yeah, it's the
and
biggest
States.
market. Yeah. Why
So
wouldn't you?
as they were coming here, their first time,
Yeah.
I don't know how, but these guys discovered crystal meth.
Oh my god, I totally forgot the story.
Yeah, so
It was in Supersonic.
it was in Supersonic. It had like this was the midpoint of the documentary.
Yeah. I
So
remember now.
all these guys were snorting crystal meth before shows, during shows, Liam. So every time that they were performing at gigs, and there was one gig in particular where it was just a complete shit show.
Yeah, the Whiskey a Go Go shit.
That,
Show.
yeah, there was. I think it was in a pub or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it got to the extent where Liam was so high that he threw like a tambourine at Noel,
Yeah.
and Noel was just like,
the hell, man.
"Really?"
Really?
Like exactly. Like he's doing all the work. He's writing all these great songs. He's telling you guys how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to break into the biggest market in the world, right? this is happening. So what he does after the show is that he takes $700 from the manager, and he flies out to San Francisco to this girl that he met at a gig,
Yeah.
and
He doesn't even know her name.
he doesn't even remember the girl anymore.
Yeah.
He says it's just a blur.
Yeah. I mean, do you blame him? I don't. Crystal meth was on the table, man.
Exactly. So, and he's just chilling with the girl, talking to her, and then eventually he goes back. But he wrote the song, I think, on the way there, or when he was sitting with her, or after.
Yeah.
And as soon as he comes back, he's a changed person, and
That whole experience changed him. Yeah.
and he goes directly in the studio to record "Talk Tonight."
Yeah.
So I think it's a very good song, and this is one of the first times that Noel actually sings himself.
Yeah. I mean, he does sing it, like he does some tracks on Definitely Maybe as well. But yeah, this is one of the first times, because I remember I think it was in the documentary, or maybe I read it on some website. Noel and Liam had an argument about who was gonna sing Wonderwall, right? So Liam was like, Noel was like, if you sing Wonderwall, I'm singing Don't Look Back in Anger. So, I mean, it's a completely different world if they chose to sing the other song, which I think Noel could sing Wonderwall amazingly. Like, you've seen him sing it live so many times. His version is so immaculate. It's a different version. And Liam's version of Don't Look Back in Anger would also be amazing. Like, that would be a different version of that. So this was the first time that, yes, Noel sort of blew up. His B-sides are always like super big anyways. Like, they could be singles for other bands still today.
Yeah.
Master Plan. It's a humongous song. It was a B-side. Talk Tonight, B-side. Half the World Away, B-side.
Great song.
Even still, Dead in the Water,
Dead in the Water.
B-side.
Yeah,
I don't know why he does this. Some of his best songs are
good
B-sides.
Some good songs. And I have some honorary mentions.
Yes,
Cast No
let's go.
Shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Champagne Supernova.
Oh, my God.
The Master Plan. I think all great songs. And this is an album that I can listen to from like top to bottom. Maybe aside from Hello.
Yeah.
Where I just wouldn't get tired, and I just appreciate the greatness.
It's like when you listen to this album, you can smell, taste, feel the 90s. At the same time, it's so timeless.
Yeah.
Wonderwall sounds like a modern song. It sounds like a modern pop song that you can play on the radio right now, and it would still be a hit. That's the power of that song. Without a second verse, that song would be a hit. My favorite part of Wonderwall is the little piano thing at the end. Like, that's genius. That's so it's a small little thing, but it pushes the song to another level.
Elevates it.
It elevates it. It's an elevator. I love it.
How about you? What are your topics?
Oh my God. Okay. So Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, obviously, right? Don't look. This might be a controversial statement, but I prefer his modern version of Don't Look Back in Anger, the softer version that he does on the acoustic with the tambourine, no electric. It's so soothing. It's so soothing. Like, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it in the bio. Check it out. I love it. Cast No Shadow, obviously. That is probably my number 2 favorite song after these two.
Okay.
Because these two are number 1.
Yeah.
Cast No Shadow is like, whenever it's like that struggling mentality, like when you're in a box, when you're bubbled in and you have nowhere to go out, and you feel like you're so small that even though the sun is beating on you, you won't cast any shadow. That's that song. The meaning of that song is so deep and visceral. Like, whenever you're feeling your lowest, that's what you're doing. You're casting no shadow. Loved Cast No Shadow. She Is Electric. I love a lot. Reminds me of the Beatles.
That's a good song. Yeah,
I love it. Reminds me of the Beatles. Has a story to it. It's kicky. It's upbeaty. I can sing it, like, wherever. The high notes on that song that Liam sings, he can't do that anymore. Exactly, we know that. Yeah. But like, that's some of the best singing that Liam has done on the album. Roll With It. I love Roll With It. Hey Now. I love Hey Now. And then obviously, I mean, there's not a bad song on this album. All of these are like, if I were to make a top 50 songs of all time, 5 of these would be on that list. Easy. Yeah. Like, Champagne Supernova is a mood. It's a vibe, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
Modern, chill rock, starts with streams, goes into like one of the most, there's so many noodles and so many riffs in that song that you're just always engaged. Your attention is always caught on that song. And then when it crescendos and it blows up, electric guitar, it's heavy, and it comes back down.
It really makes
Love
you
it.
think they have to be in some kind of a zone to record all that and improvise or do whatnot, right? In not in 2 weeks.
It's genius, man. It's genius. Noel Gallagher has no idea who Sally is. Sally is single-handedly the reason he lives in a mansion in wherever he lives, Manchester, London.
Yeah.
Sally, he has no idea who Sally is. Sally is a feeling. It's a purpose. It's an idea. It's an intent. Whatever. Doesn't matter. You know what Sally is. I know what Sally is. We both have. Everybody has their own version of Sally, and that's the beauty of these songs. There's enough room for interpretation in Oasis songs and Noel Gallagher songs that you can insert yourself, have a conversation with yourself, reflect, realize, and appreciate.
I think that's great.
Concisely put.
And that's how you.
I am a writer.
That's how you connect with music, I guess. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like there's no. It's not like I agree with Noel when he says it's never gonna happen again. It only happened once. They started as a band in '94. In '95, they had headlined Nebworth.
Nebworth, yeah.
250,000 people a night.
And I think 4.4% of all of UK's population.
All of UK's population
applied for the tickets.
Like that's insane. Drake could never.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's controversial.
Like that, and it was organic music, which means that there were people on the stage playing real instruments, and there was a live track feeding back to real mics, and you could hear real tracks being played back to you on the audience.
Yeah.
That can you please tell me? Even bands that we revere don't do that anymore. Goo Goo Dolls, Coldplay. Like I think the only person that I think that still uses real live instruments only is probably Passenger, man.
Right.
Maybe not even. Where does he get the cello and the violins from when he's playing Somebody's Love?
That's true.
Right? It's all there's an element of backtracking. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that's the truth. And that having that concert, Nebworth, and all of Oasis's concerts, it's a piece of history that is gone now. It can never come back.
Yeah. Especially with how their relations are.
Do you want to talk about the relationship as brothers? If you and I started a band, are we ending up like Oasis?
Dude, the thing is, I would definitely get back because of the fact that the financial gains that you're just leaving on the table by not coming together.
Yeah. But like, what do you think about their relationship, Liam and Knowles?
Honestly, man, at the end of the day, you're brothers, right? So whatever happens, doesn't matter how big of an idiot you are.
Really? Okay, so everything that Liam has done that you know of, you probably don't know everything.
I don't know much. Yeah.
Would you, if I had done that to you, would you be pissed?
I would be pretty pissed.
There was cricket bat smashed on his head. There were like things said to about his children, his wife, about his career, about his face, about his height, about his insecurities, all of that in the public media 24/7.
Yeah, I mean,
I know I have shit on you.
If he's that,
I have dirt on you. You know that.
If he's that big of an idiot, I would probably not. Also, I feel like Noel is the better artist in terms of songwriting ability and what he can do.
But Liam's the better singer. These songs without Liam are nothing, and you know that.
It is a dilemma.
No one knows that.
I think like Batman and the Joker, they complete each other, but at the same time that they don't.
I see that they can never coexist, but they complete each other. They need the other one to exist. Now, at this point, do you think they're gonna come back together?
No. And I think the fact that they keep throwing dirt on each other is what keeps them.
Noel doesn't do that. That's the funny thing. Liam's the one on Twitter smacking him every single day.
Yeah.
Noel is like, whatever, dirt off my shoulders. Bye. Give me the royalty checks when you're done with your
he
tour.
already talks about it, or he talks about him in third person.
Yeah,
I've noticed that a lot.
Guy. That guy. Remember on Graham Norton when they were like waving at him, like he's watching right now. It bums me out to see that that's the relationship that they've left on the table. Great artists they both are. They're legendary, right? They're both are going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at one point, or the other. It just sucks. It bums me out as an Oasis fan, as a fan of both of their individual musics and their collective music. That's where they are right now. Their relationship is so strained that they can't even be in the same area. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate for music and like for music fans, people who want to see Oasis back together.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if they like surprisingly do get back together and start touring, I think it would be like an amazing tour.
I
Like
think so
so
too.
much
Sold out.
nostalgia and
Sold out. It's the thing that Matt Whitecross said as well was that Noel doesn't need to do that.
yeah,
He has the money. He has the
he
fame.
has enough
He ha-
songwriting credits.
he knows what he is. Like all I'm looking at Don't Look Back in Anger's sorry, I'm looking at What's the Story Morning Glory's notes and it says all tracks are written by Noel Gallagher except were noted and there's not a lot. Like that's where he's at. He is capable of doing that. He just wrote Dead in the Water a couple of years ago. One of the best songs of that year and gone unnoticed. But
Yeah,
still.
his independent music is amazing as well. Like
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of it and
Does he need Oasis?
not really.
So will he go back?
And I think like they're both at that point where they've seen Nebworth, they've seen Wembley, they've seen everything. So I guess maybe they do prefer smaller, more intimate crowds. Like when they come to Toronto, they do the Sony Center.
Yeah, it's like 1,800 people.
Yeah, so I guess that's what they prefer now, and it's only true diehard fans, like the people that are in line with us
Yeah.
during that freezing cold to get their stuff signed.
Yeah.
They were diehard fans.
Yeah. That fake Liam Gallagher dude, like I still think about him today, every day. That guy has haunted my dreams.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Closing thoughts on the album, on the band, before we check out. What do you think?
I think
Sorry, before that, what
Yeah.
did you think about Supersonic?
the documentary.
Yeah, the documentary.
I think they did a
So
great.
we got to give our boy Matt Whitecross a shout out. Like he's been on the pod. He's a fan of the pod. I could say
Yeah.
great guy. Sat with us for an hour. Talks about Coldplay, Oasis, all that stuff. We got to talk to him about Supersonic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it encapsulates
Good word.
the feeling and what they were in the 90s, because as someone who didn't get a chance to witness that live, I got the chance to understand like how massive these guys were. These guys
Yeah.
were gigantic.
Yeah, and we don't
Right.
know about that. We don't hear about that.
So it was great to see the scale of success that they saw.
Yeah.
And
I
at
love
the
a
same
good-
time their downfall, and it had everybody from their drummers to Bonehead,
Yeah,
Liam and Noel. But I think Matt said there was a lot of tape that he had to like cut off
Yeah.
to kind of put it into 2 hours.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. Matt did a really good job. One of the that's what really got me into documentary watching was that
Mhm.
documentary. I was like, this history is so thick and the lore is so almost mystical
Mhm.
that it was fun to watch. And I love a good rags to riches story. Like, being on the dole, being on basically like government support. These kids came out and changed music.
Yeah.
Same thing with J.K. Rowling. Same thing with the Beatles. All these people that have impacted time with their footprint forever. I respect that.
Yeah.
And shout out to Matt Whitecross for encapsulating that perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. And they had an abusive father as well, and
Yeah.
they basically left their house.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect to like where they've come.
Yeah. From where they are to where they've come. 100%. Lots of respect for that. Closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I think this album, this band, they're the face of the 90s, and
Yeah. 100%.
I think it's safe to say that they inspired another generation of UK artists and bands.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Not even just the UK.
yeah,
Nirvana. Nirvana. I'm sorry. My apologies. Dave Grohl said that he's inspired by Oasis.
Yeah.
That's the Foo Fighters. I was listening to an interview of John Resnick and he was like, "Bro, I don't know how they got that tone on What's the Story Morning Glory, but it's so good. It's so refreshing."
Yeah.
These people had waves across the world.
exactly.
Have you seen the Acquiesce music video?
I have not known.
The Acquiesce music video is basically, it's so fun. It's Liam and Noel, but there's these two brothers, but they're Japanese. And they're walking up to the stage, and the whole band is there, but the lead singer and the guitarist are Japanese kids.
Okay.
It's amazing to see that. That's the impact that they had from the UK, a small island, to the world. And it's just goes to show good music will find ears for it itself.
Definitely, I agree. Love the songs in the album. Love the album itself.
Yeah.
And like you said, it had a ripple effect, and that we're still seeing like so many artists like right?
Covering it. Yeah, I totally agree. One of the best albums of the 90s, one of the best albums of all time. What's the Story, Morning Glory? What is the answer to that?
I guess we'll never know.
That's true. Thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you guys for checking us out. We totally are in love with this band, this artist, this artist, this band, and this album. If you like what you hear, subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all that
Google
good stuff.
Podcasts.
Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us there. It helps us a lot.
Peace out.
Peace out.